This week, we read about Jacob encountering his brother for the first time in 34 years. It's a long time to be away from your greatest enemy. And he was told that he's not coming alone. He's coming with an army of 400 men, and he's not in the greatest of moods, to say the least. Now just remember, Jacob leaves his home at age 63. Goes on 63. He spends 14 years in the yeshiva, learning day and night. He spends 20 years in Lavan's home. 7 working for Rachel, gets switched and it's Leah. Another 7 years, that's 14. And then another 6 years to work for himself. So it's already been 34 years. 14 plus 20. He's coming after God tells him, that's it, it's time for you to get up and go back to your father's home. If we make a calculation, Yaakov is at this point 97 years old. And he's coming with his wives and his kids. But he also gets a message that Esav is coming. And he gets scared. Yet, as scared as he is, he prepares in 3 ways. The 3 ways he prepares is, number 1, sending a gift. Number 2, praying. And number 3, preparing for war. Sending a gift, prayer, and preparing for war. Those are the 3 things that Jacob does to prepare for his encounter with his brother after so many years. And part of the prayer, I'd like to read for you the prayer that Yaakov delivers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a heartfelt prayer from him to God, really beseeching and requesting Hashem to show his mercy to him. I'm in chapter 32, verses 10, 11, 12, and even 13. It says as follows. Vayomer Yaakov. So Jacob says to God, Elohei Avi Avraham, the God of my father, my grandfather Avraham, and the Elohei Avi Yitzhak, also the God of my father Yitzhak. Hashem ha'omer elai shuv la'artzecha u'matecha v'etiva imach. You're the one who's telling me to go back to my home, to go back to my birthplace. So that's how he starts talking to God. And now he says, Katonti mikol hasadim u'mikol ha'emet. I've diminished in my in the kindness that is owed to me, and all of the truth asher asita tavdecha that you have done for me. We'll explain, this is going to be the main part. Because with my staff while crossing the Jordan River, I had to split up my family. I had to split up my wealth by crossing over now. And then he beseeches to God and he says, Hatzileni na miyad achi miyad Esav. Please protect me from my brother, from Esav. As the commentaries say, if he'll act with me like a brother, sometimes a brother is dangerous also, please save me from him. And if he's going to be like Esav, my full-out enemy, please Hashem, save me from him too. Ki yareh anochi oto, because I'm very scared of him. Pen yavo v'ikani emel banim, he might gonna lo alenu kill me and my whole family. And then he ends off with his last line of prayer. Ve'ata marta, Jacob's telling to God, you, Hashem said, hetev etiv imach, you're going to do only good for me. V'samti et zaracha kechol hayam asher lo yisafer merov, and that my descendants are going to be as much as the sand of the beach, of the earth, full, and so much that we couldn't even count. This was his prayer. His prayer is that he's very scared. The Zera Shimshon says, what does Jacob mean by I've diminished in my merit? Well, Rashi tells us Jacob feels that at this point he's had so much good going for him, maybe now he's not going to be able to combat Esav when he meets him. Maybe he wasted all of his good merit already. His good points, if you want to call it good luck, but it's better than that. It's God's grace. He feels like that was used up already. So Zera Shimshon says, why now? Why now is he worried about the good grace of God? He's been blessed for so long. What's changed automatically? Why wasn't he worried the first time he took the blessings from Esav? Why wasn't he worried when he had his back and forths with Lavan? Why right now? So listen to the Zera Shimshon's answer. Why Jacob's worried now, today, at age 97, and the prior time he was never worried, and he never came up with the words katonti mikol hasadim mikol haemet, that I've diminished in the grace of God, in the kindness that God has bestowed upon me. Zera Shimshon explains, God promised to Yaakov that he will be safe from anybody and everybody. When he left, he promised that he will be safe and that he'll be returned. And so it was with Esav and with Lavan. But he now was worried. Why was he worried? Because he was never promised to be so financially successful as he was. God told him he'll watch over him, he'll protect him, and he promises to return him to his land of to his birthplace, to Eretz Israel. But he was never promised to be powerful, to be wealthy, to have so many different animals and so much flock. And because he was given something he was not promised by God, now he became worried. He said, maybe all the good I've done, right? Im Lavan garti. I lived with Lavan, I fulfilled all 613 mitzvot. I was righteous, I was honest, a good person. But maybe my merit has been diminished because of the fact God blessed me with something that he never promised on giving me. And to that effect, Jacob is now coming and meeting his brother worried. Why is he worried now? It's the first time, the Zera Shimshon says. Because now he has reason to be worried. He was blessed with something that wasn't promised to him. For him to succeed against anybody or with any situation, coming back to his parents' land, that was promised. But now he has something that he was not promised. Oh, maybe my good merit has been wasted. One of the greatest questions that we all have asked ourselves once in our life at least, or it's been brought up to us, is, what's a greater test? The test of wealth or the test of poverty? And now if you would take extremes, imagine the test of poverty to the extremity of sleeping on a bench and having nothing in your name, or the extreme of wealth, having, I don't even know if this exists, hundreds of billions of dollars. What's a bigger test? Well, let's get back down to reality, because none of us, thank God, are sleeping on park benches, and none of us are ever going to have hundreds and billions of dollars. But on a simple level, on a practical level, in realms that we can understand of the struggles of poverty in a somewhat regular realm, and the struggles of wealth in somewhat of a regular realm, what's a greater test? And the answer is to each their own. Many are of the opinion, once you speak about it and you go back and forth, that the test of wealth, more often than not, is a greater test than the test of poverty. Think of it. Think of different people in your lives. Think of yourself, maybe, or unfortunately. When does a person come closer to God? When do most people start thinking and doing, they want to do the right thing? Unfortunately, it's normally one of two reasons. It's either there is a health issue for the person or a family member, which could bring along even maybe the passing of somebody. That's normally one realm. And the other realm is financial struggles. Those are the two, more often than not, greatest callings that a person decides, I want to come back to God. Now, anyone who can realize before that happens, they're ahead of the game. They're able to see the sign before it comes and act before being forced. I never want to say forced because it's never a force, but being in a tighter situation to act. And that is something we can learn from Yaakov. Yaakov was promised all great things from God, but now he got something he was not promised. None of us are promised or granted, for no good reason, the very fact of life. We take life for granted. It's something we speak about every Rosh Hashanah, that we ask God to inscribe us of the book of life. Because that, in and of itself, is the greatest thing that God gives us, and we are not to take that for granted. But we do, unfortunately. Yaakov was beyond that. He was promised that he would be safe and be brought back to his parents' land. And he was not worried because God gave him a promise. But then all of a sudden something changed and he became worried. He was given something that he cannot take for granted, that he was not promised. And because of that, he started worrying. What should a Jew do when they become worried? Number one, I don't want to say in any specific order, but there's 3 things to do. There is tefillah, prayer. There is Torah study, Torah learning. And there's mitzvot, fulfillment of the mitzvot. These are the 3 things that we do when we are in a hurdle. We also need to prepare. We see Jacob prepared. He prepared by sending gifts. He prepared by prayer. He prepared by war. We need to do our own hishtadlut. We need to make our own efforts. But in our own lives, if we're blessed with financial success, if we're struggling with finances, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that we realize that we should not take any of that for granted, and we should be worried. When good things come our way, we need to have a sprinkle of happiness, at the same time a sprinkle of worry. Where is this coming from? I'm not entitled to anything. We think we're entitled. Jacob is coming and teaching us. He himself knew, after the greatness and the great achievements he's made in his life, as being the final patriarch, even he knew he was not entitled to what was given to him when it was not promised to him. So us as his descendants, when we have moments in our lives, hopefully not the down moments, the health issues or the financial issues, because then most people, at least smart people, turn to God then, but we need to try to preempt that. And before it gets to such a degree of suffering or of worry, to bring on the worry itself when something good comes our way. That's the lesson that Zera Shimshon is teaching us this week from Yaakov, and how we can apply it to our lives.